Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mel, and welcome back to Mel Got Game, where I bring you top plays, top sports news, and some of my personal opinion of all the top sports news going on in the world today. If that interests you, please like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So guys, the full 18-week game schedule for the NFL has finally been released. Each team now knows who they are playing each week, what days the games are on, what times the games are at, when their division games are, all that good stuff. And the media analysts are already on top of these schedules. They've already ranked the schedules from easiest to hardest, started to break down division games, started breaking down rivalries, started talking about potential games of the year already. But the most important part of the NFL schedule release every year is predicting the different teams' records and seeing which team has the best opportunity to get to the Super Bowl and win it all. Now, if you guys have been following me for a while, you will know that I did predict the Falcons 2022 season last year around the same time. And some of you might have found me from that video, as well as right now it's still my most viewed video to date. But last year I basically predicted all of the 17 games that we were playing, and I predicted that we were going to go 10-7 and win the NFC South. Now obviously that's not what happened, and we went 7-10, which actually isn't too far off from what I predicted, but obviously it's not what we wanted. But something to take note of is that we did significantly better than what a lot of analysts were saying we were going to do. I mean, most people were actually expecting us to be at the bottom of the league, only winning 1 or 2 games this season. But even though we weren't over 500 last year, we still exceeded a lot of people's expectations. And now we're looking to build off of 2022 and see if we can finally get back to the postseason after half a decade of missing it. And today I am going to analyze all 17 games on our schedule and see if this is the year we get to that goal. Now, right quick, I am just going to give a little overview of the Falcons 2023 season for a minute. But if you guys do want to go ahead and skip to where I actually start the predictions in this video, I'll go ahead and leave a timestamp down below so you guys can skip to that. I don't want to take up you guys' time too much. I know my last year prediction was about 20 minutes or so. I don't want this video to be that long. It might be. Obviously, now you're seeing how long it is. This is before I edit, so I don't really know. I'm hoping it's not going to be that long. But yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and skip, you're free to do it.
Why you always lying? Oh my God.
But yeah, so what really separates this season and last season, and why I think this season will be a lot better, is definitely because of the strong offseason we've had so far. In my opinion, this is the strongest offseason the Atlanta Falcons have ever had. Now, obviously, I wasn't alive during the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, but just by doing a little research and understanding how the Falcons are, we wasn't really making too many moves back then either, and nobody really was afraid of us being a contender. During the time I've been a Falcons fan, we've made a few powerhouse moves here and there, acquiring players like Warrick Dunn in 02, Michael Turner in 08, Tony Gonzalez in 09, and then Alex Mack in 2016. But in terms of an offseason where we truly homed in on trying to fill our gaps with solid players and correcting our weaknesses, this is really the only offseason where I know we've done that. Some of our key offseason additions included tight end Jonnu Smith, D lineman David Onyemata, safety Jesse Bates, linebacker Caden Ellis, wide receiver Mac Hollins, wide receiver Scotty Miller, and then getting cornerback Jeff Okudah. And if you've been following our offseason, you would know we made it a point of emphasis to try to get some solid defensive players to generate a lot more stops and give our offense the ball more, an area that we heavily struggled in last year. In addition to our strong offseason, we had a pretty good draft as well. We drafted the electric Bijan Robinson, who's going to add so much versatility to our offense. We drafted Matthew Bergeron to strengthen our O-line. We drafted Zach Harrison to strengthen our pass rush. We drafted Clark Phillips for some more secondary help, and then we also got DeMarco Hellams and Javon Gwynn in the 7th round. Now, another factor that separates this season from last season is that we're not starting with no Marcus Mariota experiment. We're going to be starting this season with the second-year quarterback from Cincinnati and the second quarterback taken in the 2022 draft, Desmond Ridder. Now, I'm really excited to see Desmond Ridder this next season, especially with this offense that we have now. I think he's going to be able to do a lot of really creative things with his arms and legs on our offense that a lot of young quarterbacks really aren't able to do right now because of their limited weapons. With us, I mean, there's no shortage of weapons. I mean, with us, we got London, Pitts, Patterson, Algier, Robinson, and we now have Mac Hollins, Scotty Miller, Jonnu Smith, all who we got in the offseason. And I think all of these weapons are really going to help Ridder take his game to the next level. Because what really hurts young quarterbacks is not having skilled players to get the ball to generate big plays. And while we didn't get to see much of Ridder last season, we did get to see a player who has really good decision making, as he threw 0 interceptions over his 3 games starting stretch. And in the season finale against the Buccaneers, we saw him take more risk and air the ball out a little bit more, which did contribute to his first 2 touchdowns in the NFL. So yeah, I'm very excited about seeing Ridder this next season. I'm not going to go too in-depth about this next season for Ridder. I'll probably make another video on that. But now let's go ahead and get into this 2023 Falcons record prediction. All right, guys, so here is the Falcons 2023 schedule. You see we have the preseason games listed here. You guys can pause the video if you want to look at that. But the regular season starts on September 10th with the Carolina Panthers coming here for our season opener. But then it ends January 7th. Okay, there's 2 dates. There's January 7th and January 6th. I'm not sure why there's 2 dates, but whichever date it is, we will be traveling to New Orleans to face the Saints in our season finale. And based off our opponents' records from last season, we have one of, if not the easiest schedule in the league this year, which I'm very, very glad about, because these past few years, we've been trash year in and year out, and somehow we still managed to get these really ridiculously hard schedules. This year, we have the easiest schedule in terms of our opponents' records from last year, with the collective record of our opponents being 192 wins to 167 losses, and then 3 ties, meaning all of our opponents from last year have a combined 42% win percentage. Obviously, it is the NFL, and anything can happen on any given Sunday. The worst team can beat the best team if it's just that type of day. And while the record from last year is important, you also have to take into account the respective teams' off seasons and their drafts, because some of these teams definitely got a lot better for the 2023 campaign. But nevertheless, guys, I'm still very happy with this schedule. I mean, we must have done something right this offseason for the football gods to bless us like this. But yeah, guys, I have taken up too much time already, so let's go ahead and get into our week 1 matchup against the Carolina Panthers. All right, guys, week 1 divisional matchup against the Carolina Panthers, and it will be a home game. So this is actually our 4th year in a row that we've had a home game as our season opener. Our last away season opener actually came in 2019 when we played the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. As far as our season series with the Panthers last year, we split our season series, winning 1 game at home and then losing the other game in Carolina, with both games being very close games, particularly with the game here in Atlanta being one of the best games of last year. There was a thriller coming all the way down to the wire in overtime. A lot of that game could be attributed to DJ Moore just not willing to let the Carolina Panthers lose. He went off for 162 yards and 1 game-saving touchdown to tie the game. Another player who had a really big game that day was the man who took over for Christian McCaffrey after he got traded, which was Dante Foreman, who went off for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. I bring both of those players up to say both of them are not on the team anymore, with DJ Moore being traded to the Bears and then Dante Foreman also going to the Bears, signing a 1-year deal. And with the Panthers hopefully drafting their franchise quarterback Bryce Young, as well as Jonathan Mingo to come in and replace DJ Moore, it looks like it's going to be a new era in Carolina. And they also acquired the dynamic back Miles Sanders along with DJ Chark and Adam Thielen in the offseason. Their offense was bottom 4 in the league last year, and a lot of it was due to inconsistent quarterback play. Now they have a quarterback that can air that ball out and play without committing turnovers. And because of that, I think their offense is going to be a lot better in 2023. However, I do think we will win this one, mainly because I'm not sold on their defense a whole lot. They were a lot higher than us in the defensive rankings. They were just sitting right outside the bottom 10, and we were among some of the worst defenses in the league last year. However, they didn't do a whole lot for defense in this offseason that really makes me think they're going to be able to really hold down this dynamic offense that I think we're about to have. I think they're going to have a really tough time with matchups and guarding guys one-on-one. And if we play it right, we can capitalize on this and get out to a sizable lead early on. And I think that's exactly what will happen. If I am correct, we will snap our streak of 5 straight losses in our season opener, with our last one coming in 2017 when we beat the Bears in week 1. So yeah, guys, I think this game will go down as a W, and I think we'll get out to a 1-0 record. All right, now moving into the next week, week 2, we have the Green Bay Packers, who are officially out of the Aaron Rodgers era, which is crazy to think about. I mean, I was 3 years old when this man was a rookie, and then I was like heading into 1st grade when he took over as the starter for Green Bay. Now I'm about to graduate college, and this is the first season in Green Bay that A-Rod has not been on the roster since 2004. I just dated the absolute heck out of myself. I still can't believe it's been that long. I promise I'm not that old, okay? Anyway, it's going to look very, very interesting to see what this Packers team will look like now with Jordan Love as the signal caller. And if history does in fact repeat itself in Green Bay, then Jordan Love will definitely prove that he is the guy for years to come. But I really don't know how he's going to do that with the current Packers offensive roster, because it seems like they've gotten worse on offense since last year, which I didn't even think was physically possible. For one, A-Rod didn't only pack his bags, but he also packed Alan Lazard's bags and Randall Cobb's, and he put them on a first-class flight to New York with him. And with the leading receiver from last year gone for Green Bay, now it's time for some of the younger receivers to step up and take on a bigger role, like Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. And I have no doubt that after 3 years of being the backup to arguably the most efficient quarterback in NFL history, Jordan Love will have success as a starter. But because of the inexperience they have on offense right now, I have to think that it's going to take some time to get their rhythm going. And with it just being the second game in the season, I doubt that they'll have had time to get that consistency to be able to hang with us. Because while we are still inexperienced in some areas ourselves, we also have a lot of veteran leadership that I think is going to come in clutch and help us win some of these games. And for this one, I definitely think it's going to help, and we're going to move to 2-0. Now, next on the list in week 3, we got the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Now, the Lions are one of those surprise teams from last year because they started the season off absolutely horrendous, okay? They lost 6 of their first 7 games. And when I was watching this first half of the season unfold for the Lions, I was just like, wow, the Lions are really just 1 or 2 plays away from winning this game, because 4 of the 6 of their games that they lost were 1-score games. And then they ended the season winning 8 of their last 10 games. And even though they didn't make the playoffs, they finished the season with a strong 9-8 record as they capped off the season by eliminating the Packers from playoff contention. The big difference from last year to this year for the Lions is the departure of Jamal Williams, who went over 1,000 yards last season. But they have made some additions to the backfield to make up for his absence by signing David Montgomery and also drafting Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, the Lions are on my list of some real scary teams to look out for this season, and I think they're going to give us a hard time in week 3. I think it'll be a close, hard-fought game, and I do think it'll come down to the passing game, with both of our offenses being pretty high-powered. And I do think the Lions are going to win this game just because I think they've really had time to understand truly who they want to be, and I think they're going to significantly improve upon last season's record. So with that, we will suffer our first loss of the season, and we will drop to 2-1. Now, next we got the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 4 at Wembley Stadium in London. Every time I think of this matchup, I cannot stop laughing because it always reminds me of this comment I saw on the Atlanta Falcons Instagram page. It said something like, "So you're telling me I have to wake up early now for the Falcons to disappoint me?" I'm sorry. Oh my God. Yeah, that was hilarious. I was definitely laughing at that a lot longer than I should have. But yeah, bro, this game is at 9:30. It's very, very early. It's not early for the players, but it is early for us. The last couple times we played in London, I'm not gonna lie, I did sleep through them. So this time I'm gonna make sure I get enough rest so I can be up in enough time to watch the game. But yeah, the Jags are another one of those surprise teams from last year, much like the Lions. They started the season off terrible, losing 6 of their first 8, but then they turned around in the second half, went on a 5-game winning streak, and then won the AFC South. What's especially going to be beneficial for them is the return of wide receiver Calvin Ridley, who hasn't played a full season since 2020. And in that season, he racked up 1,374 yards. Last year, I don't think a lot of people expected the Jags passing attack to be as good as it was. I mean, it definitely exceeded a lot of people's expectations. And adding Calvin Ridley to that, I think is only really going to make that team much better. And Ridley also has a lot to prove this season, and there's no better game to make a statement in other than the one where you're playing your former team who traded you. So yeah, I do think Ridley will go off. He'll have a really good game. I think it'll be close, but I do think the Jaguars will end up pulling it out and we'll fall to 2-2. Next on the list, we got the Houston Texans back at home in week 5. Now, the Texans have not been accustomed to winning a whole lot, just having 6 playoff berths in their 21 seasons. Now, that might change this year as the Texans decided to make a huge statement during the draft. They took CJ Stroud with the 2nd pick and then traded up to draft Will Anderson at the 3rd pick. I mean, that was major. In total, they made 16 trades during the draft. They was really trying to get active. Texans said, yo, enough is enough. We are tired of being the laughingstock of the league. It's time to do something, and do something they did. Now, for this game, I do think we'll get back to our winning ways and come out on top. I think their defense still has a little bit of work to do in order to get the Texans to compete at a high level again. Don't get me wrong, I do think they have a lot of potential this year, and I do think they'll surprise a lot of people. But in terms of being able to be a true contender, I think that time is still maybe a year or two away. And with this game, I do think they'll have a little bit of trouble stopping us from moving the ball. I think we'll probably win by 2 or 3 scores, and then we'll go up to 3-2. Next, we got the Washington Commanders in week 6, and I definitely think this game is going to be a W. I mean, did the Commanders really do anything this offseason? I mean, the only thing that really stood out to me, at least, was drafting Emmanuel Forbes. But other than that, I mean, did they fall asleep or something? Like, what was going on? Like, did they go into hibernation or something? Like, what happened? They didn't address the quarterback situation. They barely addressed defense. I mean, what really was the goal here during this offseason? I mean, if you're a Commanders fan, please fill me in. Am I missing something? I need to know. But yeah, like I said, I do think this game is going to be a W. I think it'll probably be one of those years again for the Commanders where they don't really know if their team is good or bad, really good, really bad. I don't know. And then at the end of the year, the team just forgets how to play football and they just stop trying. And then what do you know? They're out of the playoffs. So sorry, I'm gonna stop going in on y'all Commanders fans right now. The few of y'all that might be out there. But yeah, this game will be a W, and then we'll go up to 4-2. Next on the list in week 7, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa, Florida. Now the Buccaneers are definitely in a rebuilding mode right now after the retirement of Tom Brady. Their first concern is quarterback, and they do have a couple of options that include Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, and John Wolford. And the only player here that I really feel like can be your franchise potentially is Kyle Trask. And if he doesn't show any signs of being that, I think it's probably just a lost year for the Bucs, to be honest. A lot of the core pieces are still there, like Chris Godwin, Mike Evans on offense. And then you have Levante David, Devin White, Vita Vea on defense, just to name a few. But other than that, it's looking pretty bleak for the Bucs this season. And I think the Bucs fans are probably going to have to get used to some losing seasons. Well, they technically did have a losing season last year. They went 8-9, but they made the playoffs, so that don't really count. Anyway, I do think this will be another W. I know, right? Falcons going on a little mini win streak right here. What's going on? Hopefully, though, this is all hypothetical. It's still earlier in the season at this point, but I think the Bucs are probably going to be scrambling. I think the quarterback situation will be a big problem, as well as the run game, and I definitely do not think they'll have it all figured out by week 7. And that is our chance to capitalize on their weaknesses, and because of that, I think we're going to move up to 5-2. Next, we got the Tennessee Titans in week 8, and much like some of the other teams I've mentioned on this list, the Titans have a big quarterback issue too. They got the rookie Will Levis, they got the second-year quarterback Malik Willis, and then they got the veteran Ryan Tannehill. Now Tannehill will probably be the starter entering the season, but with him regressing every year, I think they'll probably turn to one of their younger guys around mid-season. And I definitely do not think that will fare well, especially because their receiving core is pretty depleted. They are hoping for a breakout year from their 2022 first-round draft pick Treylon Burks, but I'm not going to lie, it's going to be pretty hard for the Titans if they cannot find a quarterback for them with the players that they have. And of course, they have the almighty, unstoppable Derrick Henry, but he's going to only be able to take them so far until they're forced to pass. And it is going to take some effort, but I do, however, think that we have the tools to slow down Henry and stop him from dictating the game, and then we control the game our way. And because of this, I do think we'll be able to pull it out, and I think we'll be able to move to 6-2. Next, moving into week 9, we got the Minnesota Vikings at home. Here, I do think the Minnesota Vikings will snap our 4-game win streak at home. I do think this is a really critical year for the Vikings because I feel like they're entering that period of not really settling for anything less other than a deep playoff run. They have the tools. I mean, they have one of the best offenses in the league, led by the best receiver in the league right now, Justin Jefferson. They got TJ Hawkinson, Dalvin Cook, and then their veteran Kirk Cousins, which in my opinion, Kirk get way too much hate, okay? I do think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He do be going crazy. I'm not gonna sit here and cat to you. It's just the thing is that Kirk is getting older and older each year, and I think the Vikings are noticing this, and if they see any signs of him regressing at all this year, it's probably just going to be time to move on. And that's why I think this season is so important for the Vikings, because if they underperform just in the slightest, I think some drastic changes are going to be coming. However, I do think they'll have a strong regular season once again, and I think they're going to be able to dominate this game right here. I think this game is going to be a high-scoring game, maybe even going into overtime, but I do think the Vikings will win, and then we'll fall to 6-3. Next, moving into week 10, we got the Arizona Cardinals right before our bye week. This game is really crucial to win because it is right before our bye week, and it's important that we win this game and go into that off week on a positive note. And I think we will win this. I mean, to be honest, the Cardinals have a lot to figure out. This is their first season with their new head coach, Jonathan Gannon, who served as the Eagles defensive coordinator last year. Usually the first season with the head coach is always the roughest as teams try to figure out what works and iron out the kinks. And I do think that'll be the case for the Cardinals this year, especially with Kyler Murray being out for most likely the first part of the season. I doubt he'll be able to return by this point in week 10. I don't know. We will see. But definitely if they cannot produce a record that is even remotely close to 500 by the time Kyler Murray comes back, this season is not going to be worth saving. Colt McCoy is the backup that is projected to start in place of Murray, and they did draft Colton Tune in the 5th round. So I don't know. There may be a little bit of a quarterback competition there during training camp, but ultimately I do think we're going to be able to capitalize on a pretty lost team and be able to head into the bye week 7-3. All right, now moving into week 12, we got the New Orleans Saints at home. Now I'm going to tell you a little something about the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. This is very much a rivalry. That is a no doubt. But when I tell you the Saints seem to always have our number, like, dude, they always find a way to beat us. And I really think that's why we hate them so much. Like, I think I cracked it. It's like no matter how trash either of us are or how good either of us are, the Saints always find a way to just get under our skin, our Falcons skin, and win the game and just come out on top like every time. I mean, we rarely sweep our series with the New Orleans Saints. I did a little research and I went all the way back to the Falcons 2000 season, and we've only swept the Saints 4 times, which came in 2002, 2004, 2014, and then 2016. That means in 22 years of playing the Saints twice every year, we have only won both games 4 times. And I can assure you, the Saints have swept us way more times than that. Like, it really doesn't matter if we go 16-1. I can almost guarantee you that one loss is going to come from the New Orleans Saints. It's like we either lose both games or we split. That's it. Nothing else. So that brings me to this matchup in week 12. So basically, I do think we will win this first matchup in Atlanta. Us and the Saints are a little bit similar in the way that our offenses are about to have a 2-back system, with the Saints having Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams, and then we will have Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. Cordell will definitely be in the mix too, but I think Cordell will be taking a lot of snaps at receiver this year as well. I also think the Saints are kind of a wild card as well. Like, you really don't know this year if they're going to be good or bad or mediocre or whatever. It's really kind of just up in the air, and I think for this first game, the Falcons will win, and I think it's because of our versatility on offense. I think this is probably the most versatile our offense has ever been in Falcons history, and the Saints have never seen a Falcons offense really like this. So I do think this first game will be a W for us, and we'll move to 8-3. Next, we have our week 13 matchup, which is the New York Jets in New York. And obviously the New York Jets now have Aaron Rodgers, which I mentioned earlier when I analyzed our Packers matchup. And I'm not really sure if a lot of people are really sold on this New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers marriage sort of working out. For me, it's still a little bit up in the air. What we do know, however, is that the Jets actually have a pretty solid offense with a lot of good young players, and really all they were missing was a quarterback to help them contend. Now that they have that, I do think the Jets will be fairly decent this year. I don't think it'll be anything to where they win the AFC or anything, or even win the division, but a wild card spot is definitely in their reach. And I think with Aaron Rodgers bringing some familiar faces from Green Bay over to New York with him, I think he'll have a good season, and I do think he'll have a good game against us. Their defense was really good last year too, ranking 4th in the league, and obviously being led by Sauce Gardner's lockdown cornerback rookie performance. I think we're going to have a rough time against that defense, and I do think Rodgers is going to have a lot of possessions to score. And because of that, I do think this is going to be an L, and because of that, we're going to drop to 8-4. Next, in week 14, we then again have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for our second matchup, and this time it will be at home. Like I said, the Bucs are really just in a limbo period right now, not really having a clear direction of where they want to go after Tom Brady's retiring. I do think this is going to be one of those years where they probably win like 5 to 7 games. Not anything too crazy bad, but also not anything too good to where they're contending for the division. I do think they'll lose majority of their division games too, pushing them further and further away from even contending for the division. I do think we will sweep the series and win this last matchup and move to 9-4. Next, we got back-to-back division games. In week 15, we then play the Carolina Panthers. Much like the Bucs, I do think we will sweep this one too. Carolina has lost some significant pieces, and while they did get a little better, I do think they're probably still a year or two out from having a really good Panthers team again. Like I said in the first matchup, I think it still applies to this game too. I think they'll have a really tough time matching up against our guys and guarding them one-on-one. I think Bryce Young is going to prove this year that he is going to be their franchise quarterback for years to come, and I think he'll probably have some solid games against us for sure. However, I don't think it'll be enough, and I think in this second matchup, we will finish the sweep against the Carolina Panthers and move to 10-4. Next, in week 16, we got the Indianapolis Colts, and the Colts are coming off a a pretty abysmal season where they only won 4 games, which most notably can be highlighted by them blowing the biggest lead in NFL history to the Minnesota Vikings. They were up 33-0 at halftime, and they ended up losing 36-39 in overtime. Hopefully they don't blow no leads this year. I mean, that would be very embarrassing, especially against us, because we are the king of blowing leads. And I'm not sure if this game will end in a blown lead or not, but I do think the Colts will win. Now, I think a lot of people can look at this matchup and say, Jamel, the Falcons should win this game. They are by far the superior team. They're way better than the Colts. Let me explain. The Falcons always have that one game, just that one game, where we're supposed to win, but we lose because, I don't know, we just had a Falcons moment. No matter how good we might be that year, we always have that one game where we just forget how to play football, and then we mess around, get too comfortable, and then we end up losing to a team with 2 wins. I don't know how, but it's the Falcons, okay? They gonna find a way. This game with the Colts, I think this is going to be that game for us this year. I really don't even think the Colts are a bad team, to be honest, per se. I actually think the Colts are about to be pretty solid at best. I mean, they've finally gotten out of that senior citizen quarterback carousel that they've been constantly in since Andrew Luck retired. And they finally got a young, talented signal caller in Anthony Richardson. I think they have some momentum coming into this game as underdogs, and as the Falcons usually do, get too comfortable thinking the game is in the bag and then mess around and lose. You'll probably get too late in the game, and then the Colts will get that one final stop on defense to end any hope of coming back. That's my prediction. Like I said, we always have that one game, and I think this is it, and I think we will fall to 10-5. Next, in week 17, we got the Chicago Bears away. Now, I think Chicago is about to be a real threat this year, especially with Aaron Rodgers now gone from Green Bay. I think the NFC North is wide open. Anybody could really win that division, and I think there's arguments for why the Lions, Bears, and Vikings could be the team to beat. With the addition of DJ Moore and the development of Justin Fields as a passer, I think this team is really going to be good. While that is the case, I do think the Falcons have what it takes to come out on top and win this game. I really think this will be a back and forth matchup, to be honest, and I think it'll come down to the wire. I think it'll be tied towards the end, and I think the separator will be which defense can really get that last crucial stop to get their offense the ball back with the chance to win the game. And I think that will be us, and if I'm right, we will win this game and move to 11-5. Finally, for our season finale, we got the New Orleans Saints in week 18. Like I said for our previous matchup, Falcons either win one and lose one, or lose both when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. There's no winning both with them usually, and I think that will definitely be the case yet again this year. We're going to win that first game in Atlanta, but this second matchup, I think the Saints are definitely going to figure us out, and they're going to find a way to win and end the series in a split. I'm not even sure if the Saints are going to be even remotely good this year, but what I do know is it don't matter if they go 0-16. If they play us for that last game of the season, they're definitely going to be the ones getting the last laugh. I don't know. It really just seems like they saved their best game of the season for when they play us. I don't know. That's just what it seems. I don't know. So with that loss, we will end our 2023 season 11-6. That is a very strong prediction that will definitely get us into the playoffs. It should win us the division, especially since I predicted that we will sweep every division series except the Saints. So I'm hoping that my prediction does hold up and we will win the division. And hey, if the Falcons decide that they want to win even more games than this record right here that I predicted, that is more than fine by me. Win as many games as possible to clinch the highest seed in the playoffs. We definitely need it. But yeah, guys, that is my 2023 Falcons record prediction. Last year I predicted that we would go 10-7. We went 7-10. This year I'm predicting that we win one more game than my last year prediction and go 11-6. We came up 3 games short last year of my prediction being true. So this year, let's see how close I get to being correct. Maybe I'll get my hopes up just a little bit, but you know you can always rely on Falcons fans to continue supporting the Falcons no matter what they put us through. But I don't know, I think this year getting my hopes up is definitely valid, especially because of our strong offseason that we had, getting those crucial pieces to really move our team into making some noise this year, and I really think we're going to do just that. Who knows, man? This might just be another delusional Falcons fan prediction. It might just be that, but let me know what you guys think of my prediction down below, and also let me know how many games you guys think the Falcons will win this year. Also, if there's any other predictions you guys want me to do, go ahead and drop them in the comment section down below as well. With that being said, it's your boy Mel. Stay safe out there. Please stay safe. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm out. Peace. Has the best opportunity to get to the NBA Finals. NBA Finals. That's what's going on right now. The NBA Finals. That's what I'm thinking about. To get to the Super Bowl. Why am I thinking about the finals? Why? Green Bay gone from last year. Now it's time for some of the younger guys to step up and really take on a bigger role, like Christian Dobbs. I just combined Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs. What am I thinking? Hello?
Hello.
Hey. I was recording a clip.
Oh, okay.
You okay if I go back?
Yeah, I guess I'm about to get in the shower anyway, so
See, it don't even matter.
I guess I'll just go and get in the bed and just go to sleep.
If you have to get in the shower anyway, you could just tell me when you're about to go to sleep, and I'll talk to you during the time you're about to go to sleep, and you can go to bed.
You say so.
You about to get in the shower anyway, and you need to be going to bed anyway.